even unmute and talk about it. Yeah, because it's a very small session, so we really encourage everybody to speak out, to communicate, and we can just share our knowledge. Okay, I hand over to you, Hailey.
Okay, thank you, Amber. Let me share my screen, okay? Can you guys see my screen?
Yep, can see.
Yeah. Okay. Hello, everyone. So glad to meet you guys here. I'm Hailey. My topic today is actually AI for everyone. Okay, before I start, let me give you an introduction about myself. I graduated in statistics major. I first joined, after I graduated, I joined LTA's Data Science and Smart Nation program. So that is where I first noticed data science, the topic of data science, the topic of AI, basically. And when I first started, I thought statistics is equals to data science. It's equals to AI. I mean, they both deal with data, analyzing the data, draw conclusions, and make decisions based on those conclusions or observations that you made from those data. But it's not true. Actually, it's way off, right? So basically, if you look at AI, as Amber just introduced, it has basically three different types, three pillars, I always say, right? The first one is statistics, the mathematics theory behind each algo, right? Then the second one is computer engineering, is the engineering side, which is automation. So if you look at earlier days, automation and the scalability of the solution actually basically is how it stops AI from grow as fast as today. Now AI is growing fast because our computation power now can perform complex algorithms at a very fast speed. Okay, then the third one is actually business application. How is that going to apply to the actual industry, to real life? So slowly after I noticed that, I joined Accenture, and where I got to work on different projects with different clients, it starts to broaden my eyes. Finally, Gojek. Now I'm with the financial services platform. So it's a fintech arm of Gojek. Okay, so generally that is my background. Public sectors, consulting, and startups. Okay. Now, when we talk about AI, right? We think about driverless cars. We think about robot, like iRobot. Okay, like Sophia here. Okay, which is an intelligent robot who became a citizen of Saudi Arabia in 2017, actually. So you have this interaction. So basically, my understanding on intelligence is that you need to have an interactive response or a decision that you make after this interaction, after you feed information to AI, or we call it data, right? But after Amber's introduction, I think many of you have realized that AI is actually a broader concept, a very broad concept, including automation, including calculation, and many other things. It's actually a broader concept than machine learning. So I hope that answers the question. So if you really look at AI, AI includes machine learning. And then therefore machine learning includes the deep learning, right? Which is harder and more complex algorithms. Okay. So do you see all these applications, or do you see any applications in your real life other than what Amber showed a little bit earlier? which is Siri, Google Home, and Timo Genie, right? So when we first start, AI aims, we can really look at Siri, Google Home, Timo Genies. We see how AI is changing consumer tech industry. Beyond voice, it becomes to everything at home now. You will have a smart home, making our life way more comfortable and easy. You can just say, oh, okay, Google, turn off the lights. Okay, Google, play Netflix, play Frozen on Netflix on my TV, right? You can give very specific instructions and they can understand. And how does that work? Have you ever popped in your mind to think, how would each step link together? Hopefully at the end of this, I will have time to show you a small example on basically how AI or different type of AI projects, applications, how they act with the essential part of it. Okay, now comes with medium, other things that's very common in our life, like Netflix, TikTok. I spend hours in these apps, Spotify. They actually know what I want to know before I even know myself. They know what I want to watch. They know what I want to listen. They know everything. Basically, the next recommendation is exactly what I want to click in and continue to watch or listen to. So basically, AI is using tons of data based on your behaviors, based on people who are like you, behaviors to make a prediction, and that prediction slowly tones and slowly become reinforced and to make a suggestion just for you, customized solution. Now, anything else that you think about AI in our real life? Generative AI also helps advance product development and customer experience. So I'm from Gojek, so I have to talk about Gojek. Okay. So in Gojek, in Singapore, I think some of you have already know that we have GoCar, right? So behind GoCar, behind you open the app, put in where you want to go, put in the pickup point. There are actually complicated algorithms to find you a driver. So your request will send back to our server, and within milliseconds, we will need to match a driver for you. Okay, and after we do this matchmaking, we will need to send this to the driver and ask the driver to respond. Now, what are these based on? It's based on which driver is nearest to you. But how is this distance calculated? Is that really on the distance between the 2 points, Euclidean distance, the shortest distance? No. So we'll need to have routing algorithms to really calculate based on different roads, the traffic conditions, what is the actual time that a driver will need to spend to pick you up. And also about the fare calculation. We offered flat fare, right? So it means that at the time that we offer the fare, even before the trip is completed, we will need to know what is the right fare to charge that is right for both driver and the customers. So this is different from the conventional taxi. Taxi is runs on meters. It depends on the time that you spend, depends on the miles that you travel. How about other things? Toll fee validations. How about if a driver just say, oh, I passed this ERP on the road, I'm just going to charge you $10. We will need to catch that up. $10 is extreme case, it's easy. How about 5? How about 50 cents? All those toll fee validations, catching fraudsters like this, is empowered by AI to make both our drivers and customers easier. to think. Okay, now food, of course, food deliveries, same thing. Recommendations on which foods that you like. Also on fraud detection, for example, there are fake merchants. They will just post any pictures. They are saying that they opened a merchant but no product. Image verifications with their menus. All those are powered by AI. We will need to also find out customers' merchant cohesions on, for example, incentive abuse. For example, they are cashing out the promotions, the money, especially when we run promotions, when they spend on credit, not the real cash. Okay, so, and also we have payment platform where we will need to ensure that where this need to be more carefully taken. For example, how about the customer's account get hacked? There is an account takeover, it's used by a different person now. How sensitive are we going to catch that? Fraudulent transactions, and also many other things. Even for, there are many other services Gojek offers. Just going to mention one more. Go Deals, which is here. If you can see my cursor, it's Gojek over here, right? So it's going to power the incentive recommendation for you based on your behavior, based on the data that extracted from you or people like you, to make sure that we recommend the right promotion just for you. So as customer turns out ads, AI is helping brands cut through too. Okay. Last but not least, fintech, pay later. So it's like a virtual credit card, which allows you to use to pay with credit and pay at the end of the month. So it's pay later. So when we talk about this, the first thing we think about is, of course, we will need to assess people's credit worthiness. We will need to find out different type of customers, so maybe customer segmentation. We'll also need to prevent fraud, because this is about credit. What if people are fraudsters and they will not repay you? And last but not least, we will recommend an incentive for to encourage adoption or generate leads. What kind of communication channels that we should use and which is the most effective. All those are actually backed by AI. Okay, now, what are the actual impact for AI? If you ask me, I think the first one will be financial inclusion. AI really empowers fintech to extend financial services to more customers safely. What do I mean by that? So traditionally, if you think about how you apply a credit card, you go to a bank. Bank will ask you to fill in questionnaires, application forms, and they ask you for your income proofs. They ask you for even validation, IC, all different kinds of things. Then they'll give you a credit card with a limit that they think is reasonable. However, there are many unbanked people in Southeast Asia. In fact, there are 290 million people who are unbanked. They don't have any bank account. They don't even own a bank account or credit card. You don't have any history on this. You don't have any financial information about them. They probably can't even provide pay slips because they are paid on cash, by cash. They have no access to credit. 82% of the people have no access to credit at all. If you compare that number with 37 with the digital ready rate, okay, that is 37% in this region. We still have about 19%, which doubles the population size who have no access to credit. So traditional way of assessing people's credit worthiness and therefore issue them a loan or credit will not work, because the most important information you have or you make decision on is not available anymore, which is a financial information. So what do we do? How AI help? AI use different models and more advanced machine learning models, and also use alternative data sources. If you don't have income, you don't have payslip information, can I actually analyze your spend behavior? Can I use tech platform data, for example, Gojek, the rights, or even if you have Lazada, Shopee, they can use e-commerce, the spendings behaviors. Can we leverage on that? And we have more reliable predictions than traditional scorecards, which means better risk ranking, which means under the same risk level, tolerance level, we can extend our loans to more users. Also, AI made are more sensitive to fraudsters. I mentioned account takeover, false identity verification. So sometimes, right, if I am a fraudster, if I'm going to play with the system, the easiest one is that I'm not going to show you my real identity. So I'm going to have a fake one. I will Photoshop one and submit. Nobody is going to know, but AI is going to catch that. Next, the second impact that AI has in fintech is being a responsible lender. What does it mean? It is important to provide access to credit to people. And it's also important to be mindful not to put them in debt, to loan them beyond what they can repay. So we need to understand our customers. We'll need to personalize based on the need and capability of repay when we design the loan for them. So AI is helping us to really understand them, segment them, and draw information based on people surround them, similar to them, to make a better and wiser responsible decision. And we need to incentivize wisely with reinforced recommendation engine. Okay, so generally what societies think what AI, deep learning, machine learning is, probably not true, right? So it's really easy if you know what is underlying, what is going on there. Before I proceed to my simple example as a bonus example, can I have a time check? Amber, do I still have time?
Yeah, I think your part can pause here. We may proceed to Hattie, then we will proceed to the Q&A session. Yeah. Sorry.
Okay.
Not enough time. I know that you have a bonus one.
Okay.
No worries at all. I'll be fast. I'm not an AI expert. I'm not an AI expert. I'll just share what I know.
Okay. In this case, can you just give Hailey another 2 to 3 minutes?
Yeah, sure. No problem. Yeah. Go ahead.
Okay, cool. Let me unmute myself. So basically all this, right? If you really realize what is important is to transfer what you know into data. That is how humans make judgment, make decisions too, right? We saw this behavior, our brain help us to process, and we make a decision, we make a response based on it, right? So now what the most important thing about AI is you know how to transform what you know into data so that AI can fit on it. Okay, so I'm going to give a very simple example, which many people find it hard. It's image. How to represent an image with data, with numeric numbers and store them, and how this is going to be used to help you solve other problems, right? Look at this raw image. And some people has already know her, I think from How I Met Your Mother, right? Now, if I want to transform them, transfer this image stored at a numeric format into a 64 bit long 0 and 1s, what do I do? So first step, we will need to reduce the size and convert to grayscale. So let's say 8 by 8 first. And for each position, under this X, if I call this X-axis, Y-axis, they will represented by XY, right? Now I will do a simple calculation because I need to change it to binary. So the easiest one is to use the average method. On this grayscale, I will calculate their brightness, which is indicate from 0 to 255, right? I will take the average. If this pixel is larger than average, it's equals to 1. If it's not, it's equals to 0. Now I change it to binary. Now for this, I can still see a human shape over there because I know the raw image. Now for each position, I will store one row at a time. So now I have 8 rows of 8 inputs. I have 64 bit long, a series of 0 and 1s to represent one image. Now I can use it to train my model and going to apply it for other use case. For example, can we create something like this? Okay, so it's basically, if you really think about how we create this kind of image, it looks hard. What we do is we go online and look for software to help us do that. But really underlying it under the hood is that I'm trying to match a base image to every pixel of that previous the target image, right? So how do I do that? After I transform this base image into a string of series, and I get this one small pixel, and I match them basically on the similarity level. If it's a match, I will put it there. So if I have a series of candidate base image like this, let's say 4 of them, okay, and I have a target image, I can really match them pixel by pixel and put it there, and I will have this mosaic image at the end. Okay, so it's all about how you represent your data, how you make sure that the machines or the AIs that you work with can fit onto it and make a decision just like you. So it's either than it looks. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Hailey. I think it really, at least is mystified something like I previously think, because I always saw like image recognition is super hard to do. No, I know the logic behind it. Okay, so in this case, I would just like skip the question first, and we proceed to Hattie. After Hattie, we're gonna start the questions in the chat box. Okay, over to you, Hattie.
Okay. Hi everyone. I will share, like I said, I'll share what I know within recruitment. Yeah, I don't come from a tech background, but even though I studied information systems in SMU, but that doesn't mean anything. Okay, I'm gonna share my slides right now. Just give me one sec. Screen. Can you guys see?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Thanks of all for first of all that Amber actually invited me to do this session. I don't really specialize in artificial intelligence, but I will share with you a bit of my background, and you'll see how that's relevant for you. I mean, later on in the Q&A session, I'll try my best, right? If any question regarding recruitment, I'll try and answer. If not, then I'll provide hopefully some solutions for you guys where to look for the info. Bit about me first. How do I present? Okay, present. Okay, so I actually I work for Page Group. Some of my background is I came to Singapore about 9 years back. I had my bachelor degree here in information system management in the major of information system management in Singapore Management University, and I also had a second major in marketing. So for me, that time, info system was not really my first choice. But now I should say that lucky enough that I I did information system, it really helped in nowadays job, even in the business context. So ever since I graduated, I joined Page Group. As a recruitment consultant. And within the first few years, I specialized more in financial services for corporate support function recruitment. So I was working a lot with like hedge fund, investment banking, etc. But then later on last year, because of the technology sort of trend in Singapore, and you guys know that the government is also trying to sort of enforce and emphasize on building a tech hub here in Singapore. You see a lot of Chinese technology companies like internet firms come into Singapore to really set up a base and headquarter in order to either promote their brand or rebrand themselves or grow internationally within a region. So due to that background, I actually pioneered I have been sort of, well, I pioneered and sort of have been starting and building this desk called China Desk. Essentially what we do is we work actively with global Chinese tech accounts to help them basically find the best tech and sales digital talents. So that's what I do, right? My job, obviously, I don't get to do too much of the tech stuff, but it does give me a pretty good bird view of what's happening in the industries, at least in the front line of what's happening and what are the most sort of talents in demand right now. So that's the background. In fact, earlier this year, MicroPage, as in Page Group, the company that I service, we actually published a report. If you guys are interested, you can go online and try and download that. We call it Humans of AI. That's a report that we published just earlier, I think in January or February period. We have a series of 3 different stages of report that covers different perspectives. I took some segments out from the report. Some of the figures are here. Obviously, essentially what it says is a lot of companies, majority of companies agree that they're transferring into a sort of AI model. Hailey explained earlier, AI is really a broad term, right? It doesn't mean that incorporating AI doesn't necessarily mean that every company is a algo or deep learning or machine learning based company. No, absolutely not. It could be as simple as using data intelligence to forecast a report and help to predict and manage inventory. It can be as simple as that. So yeah, and also 90% of them say that they have a strategy in place already, or at least that's what they told us, right? And some of the interesting figures here that I also put out here. Well, there's something to take note here is, about, close to 2 million jobs are continue going to be created regionally. and 2 million more will continue to be in the future. So that's really a huge amount of job openings in the market. And with that, we do see sort of like a shortage of talents as well for what's really required by industries and different business sectors versus what are really available in the market. That's why you see all these universities and including like big technology companies trying to build university or campus recruitment or internal sort of training plan to younger graduates or even car employees to transform their skill sets. I will further touch on that, but this is really just the broad view. I'm going to skip this part because I think Hailey did a very good job together with Amber explaining what are really AI and how in terms of the broader concept. So I'm going to skip this part. Well, Hailey spoke mainly about the fintech industry. I'll share some of the other industries that we see, or at least like clients that we've personally worked with in the markets. We've actually worked with technology, medical technology companies, from e-commerce as well to property management, sales industries, of course, that refers to like professional services sometimes, recruitment and talent management, of course, financial services and insurance. So I'll give you guys like a little bit of the example. Medical technology, for example, would be, I had a client recently that focuses on like retinal image recognition. So what they do is they sort of analyze and take picture. I mean, simple as like layman term is, if I take a picture, right, of my eye, what they're trying to do is they want to just by simple few steps after you take the picture, they want to be able to automate the process and give you like a sort of base report of your health condition based on the image. And within the clinical sort of usage is sometimes, or at least they're trying to target to assist doctors, or even say, sometimes in secondary cities and tertiary cities, the hospital systems and health systems are not really well set up. So by doing that, they're trying to sort of reduce the cost of going to hospital, paying really big money to have a full analysis of their body. Because some of you might not know that, which is what I heard recently too, that from clear retinal image, you're actually able to predict quite a lot of like chronic diseases and everything. So that's pretty new to me. I know that retinal image processing is not really a new concept, but clearly, how do we really adopt that from the usual sort of practice to really hopefully being able to replace some of the doctors in hospitals and in cities that are not well supported for their health system is, could be something that's very meaningful. E-commerce, I don't think I need to explain further. Like, you open your Taobao account, you just, and Shopee, you get all these sort of recommendations, like everything you click, you want to buy, right? So that's what it's doing to you. Property management, I've not really worked much with those industries, but what I heard is there are sort of automated tools that helps the salespeople to automate their process. It could be some like robotic chat sometimes for customers that are making first and secondary inquiry, and basically facilitating salespeople to generate leads. Not say generate leads, but like evaluating leads, etc., before they proceed to the qualitative steps of business, deal talking. Let me pick something else. Insurance is something quite widely adopted, I guess, nowadays. You see all those like smaller and bigger market players for InsurTech, right? It's the topic I think has been around for a few years. I've also personally seen, a few bigger player and smaller player in the market. Some are really like startup trying to figure out what they're doing. But essentially the concept, what we see most commonly is, say you take a picture of the car for the car that you want to claim, and automatically the system will tell you how much to basically claim back for that case, because it used to be a very manual process. You have to file the claim, they have to evaluate, there are claims executive as well. I'm not sure if you guys know about that, but after all these like very trivial like long process, then they will give a figure, and that process is very long. Nowadays, people sort of expect immediate response, right? So with that, they're able to basically do claims more transparently, and there's less dispute, and it's faster speed for the whole process. Automobile is pretty clear, on its own. Autonomous cars, right? There are companies, startups too in the market that are either focuses on the infrastructure side of the parts and infra side of the cars. There are also that focus on the soft skills of algorithm part as well. So those are some applications over there. Mobile industry retail. I forgot why I wrote that though, but well, serious, obviously one good example. Yeah. So basically those are some other examples other than, the fintech industry. Now, in terms of the technical terms, there are some key applications over here when it comes to the tech sort of side of things. We see big data and analytics and insights, right? That typically uses for sales forecast, inventory management, and many other business insights and decisions making. Yeah. There's also NLP, natural language processing. It's quite a fundamental subject for a lot of things. In fact, search and recommendations, some of the methodologies used in search and recommendation for e-commerce, for example, is actually based on neural language processing, or because it's so fundamental, so it can really be used to anything. It could even be like when you speak to something, how does it translate to like text, right? Some of the aspects are actually fundamentally based on that, but it also depends on what sort of subline are you talking about? I'm not going to go in depth on that. IoT, of course, that's sort of AI as well, I feel, because essentially it's plugging and data from everything that we use down to the chip, to maybe even a pen, to your aircon, to the switch. So that's typically IoT stuff. Virtual agents, yeah, that's we've all known like Timo, Genie, I guess it's categorized as virtual agents, right? That's fine. I don't have much clients in this field, but yeah, it's a common field. Virtual agents and speech recognition field probably are a bit similar, but let me know if you think I'm wrong. Autonomous cars, sure. Hailey mentioned this as well, security and fraud issue protection. Yeah, actually within a space of fintech, I think security and fraud issue protection is pretty sort of big, together with the AI-enabled compliance concept. So that's quite big. We've had some clients within financial services that are looking for those like compliance and AI, BI sort of related roles too. Biometrics is similar to what I mentioned just now for medtech. Content creation. I don't know if you guys use that before. It's a bit similar to NLP and speech recognition related sort of field. There are video applications in the market whereby you basically like say you record a video, right? And it automatically will add on the subtitle, what do you call that? Subtitles for you. So that's pretty, convenient for a lot of content creators. Image recognition, it really can be used anywhere. Sometimes for the CCTV cars and all these are actually based on that. You see, you're going for the transport and you're on the road, and then a car passed by or something, and maybe like even related to the criminal system, whatever I'm thinking, right? And then it could actually detect, and essentially what it does is reading the image and translate that into basically plugging out the numbers and then match with relevant systems, etc. Oh wait, somebody is. Okay. So key skill sets, I didn't put a lot. It's mainly around the AI, computer science space, business insights, plus data analytics. I think that's pretty similar to what we've talked about. I will share some key trends in recruitment. Um, we noticed that there are three key trends nowadays, and this has been talked about in a report that Page Group has published recently. One is the further segmentation of jobs. What we mean by that is that because the subject matter is so segmented nowadays, for example, if I talk about a client such as Shopee, right? No, not saying that I'm working with Shopee, but for example, Shopee, right? Everybody knows that. And then you see that on their front page, or even Taobao, for example, they have a lot of recommendations, personalized recommendations for you. And then how do we do that, right? There are actually various of methodologies for recommendation sort of subject. A lot of people think that, oh, recommendations based on your browser and shop history, right? So that's one way of method. That's based on your cache, web history, user history, sort of preference analysis based on your data tag. So that could be one way, right? You would think that anyone that works in e-commerce will certainly know how the other e-commerce competitor work. Not necessarily, because there could be another smaller player in the market that recommend things based on your search history, and that will be again an NLP related text-based sort of a search and recommendation methodology. So what I mean by that is, even though a concept can sound quite similar, right? And in business context, sometimes the skill sets needed for that specific technology field can be really, really segmented too. So it sort of forces people now to unfortunately specialize in early stage, right? Or if you don't want to specialize in early stage, what you can do is you can choose to go to a startup, and then you can see like different various perspective things before you choose, what you want to dig further or dive deeper in. But that's a good note to take note of, like when you choose a job and when you make a career switch, you want to know what are the other relevant things around it, and what are the transferable skills, and how is your career path going to be like after this sort of experience, because not necessarily it is so much transferable to another thing. So you want to look at within the industry, for example, and the route you pick. Is it a trendy and upwardy sort of trend, or is it downwarding, etc. So that's the first that I want to share with you guys, something to take note of. Second, I say interdisciplinary skill sets. It's because people think that, okay, if I know, say, if I'm looking for an engineer, right? Say I'm looking for a founding member software engineer for a startup company that wants to do, let's say, okay, e-commerce is the easiest example that everyone understands. If let's say they want to, okay, say maybe medical technology then. If I'm looking for a software engineer for a medical technology startup, and you would think that, if they know Java or C++ or some machine learning concept, it's good enough, right? But no, nowadays, whichever industry you go for, recruiters or hiring managers are looking actually for people with the business insights as well, regardless of the role that you're in. Because without that, it's just so hard to be on top of the sort of the product side of things. Because say, for example, if an engineer doesn't understand the product side at all, it'd be hard for them to communicate and really understand the business perspective, right? And vice versa. A product manager will probably need to know some coding too, right? In order to know, okay, if I ask to build a Titanic ship, right? But that's from the client side requirement. But in reality, I can only build a small ship from Changi to Pulau Ubin. So, right. So those skill sets are very different. So sometimes it's good to, nowadays, it's always good to have like interdisciplinary skill sets. Third, I mentioned creative and personalized management. I'm not sure like how many of you guys in the audience are in a leadership position, but more and more we're talking about creative and personalized management in the sense that you want to always be able to like add value to your team. And yes, I know it's hard, for managers and people leaders to know everything in the field, because sometimes when you're just less hands-on, because things move so fast, whatever you did and that worked in your era, it does not and not necessarily work in nowadays context. So that requires a lot of creative and personalized and also self-learning too, from the leadership team, to be able to understand what your staffs or subordinates are doing on the ground level, at the same time add value to not only say business insights, but architecture wise, actually more so nowadays business insights and business intelligence side of things, to really guide them to the right direction. So that it's something that you know, anyone who is aspired to be a people leader should be aware of. Yeah, so that's pretty much it, I think. You guys, you know, if you want to connect with me, you can just search Hattie Ren on LinkedIn. I'm happy to connect with everyone. Of course, you know, I know this is an unofficial thing, but if any of you guys are actually, you know, your team are hiring for like tech talents, you know, feel free to connect with me. Or if you're looking for a job from the tech background, feel free to connect with me too. That's all I have.
Thank you so much, Hattie. So for the Q&A, the platform is open. You guys can unmute yourself and start your queries. Still, we have some queries while Hailey was doing the session. We have some queries that have been put on the chat box. So WWSO asked, like, I'm curious about how AI is trained by big corporations. Do you think it's ever possible to decentralize the training of AI, example via blockchain?
Right. Good question. Actually, very great question. In general, I'm thinking that I'm not an expert on the decentralized AI. However, I do think there are a few initiatives that are already going around. Unfortunately, they are still backed with big corporations like Microsoft, right? So generally, if you think about AI models, especially machine learning models, most of the people are applicators, right? That you apply the models to with your data rather than you're writing the algorithms yourself. So generally, the idea is about centralizing AI is about to, how should I put it? So basically to share an updatable model. So basically you have your half-trained model there and you share with people, and the other people around the world can actually update their data to retrain the model or reinforce the learning, right? So I'm thinking definitely it's possible. However, to what extent, that one I can't really comment on it. But thank you for the great question. Yeah.
Next question we have is how to tackle the discriminations introduced by AI when two persons at the same time and same location are offered different prices.
Right. I think it's not. I think it's quite. How should I put it? It's not decided by the algorithm, but or decided by the data scientist. Actually, it's based on if you are looking at this, potentially it's based on the pricing algorithm. So generally, I'm not talking about any specific on the trip specifically, but also under the scenarios, maybe if you buy certain things on e-commerce and you realize that if you go back to the same store, the price that on the screen is different from somebody who is really new to that store, right? So I'm not saying that as a customer, how are you going to tackle that discrimination? But I think as a data scientist, we shouldn't be doing that on purpose. Does that answer your question, Jason?
Yeah, I think it does. Thank you. I mean, It's not a specific case for Gojek though, so don't worry.
Oh no, I don't think Gojek is doing that as well. Gojek will give you a very high price and then you'll just go away and tend to grab. Yeah, it's happened to me every time.
Next question was by Vidhi. So does the app ask permissions from the users before using their data?
Right, definitely. In fact, right, I think I was reading on the chat and there are some communication, like some discussions over there as well.
Yes.
So in fact, yes. And if you pay attention, you know that different level of data that you share with the app actually are only specific to the services that you use. For example, right, if you're going to use rights, potentially will request your phone number definitely because you need to be contactable. And the second thing would be your location because we'll need to track your location, make sure where you are. And throughout the trip, we'll need to know that where you are so that to ensure that you are safe, right? However, back-end tracking is not allowed. Not say not allowed. If you are willing to share, we are happy to save that data. But generally, we don't track that, right? Even if, like, say, 1 people or 2 million share, 2 people share that information with us, it's not going to power AI machine anyway, right? So that basic information are shared on the operation basis, right? Then, for example, in fintech, we require another level of data. Now I need to know your real name. But your real name is contained in that service only, fintech related financial services only. So I can't go to a right data scientist to say, hey, I have this customer, the name is blah, blah, that's so funny. No, never. That does not exist, the system. In fact, I don't get to know who you are. To what I see, I don't even have their their gender, anything. I don't have it. To me, it's just a row of data. That's it. And to be very frank, even if I have that data present to me, I probably couldn't read it myself. I can't even open it in CSV. CSV is only have limited rows. Right, so rest assured that different data you grant access to are only limited to that particular services. So and also when you use the app, for different apps, basically it's different. So there are many times that when you open a special service, you are requested to give another round of consent. Right, so don't be impatient with that. It's just because it's another layer of data protection, even within our organization. Yeah.
Okay, I think she's okay. So Hailey and Hattie, thank you so much for the inspiring this discussion that we have regarding AI. Especially, I had like very less clue about it, but I now know much more in depth. So one more thing which is left right now is to do the lucky draw. So we have a lucky draw today wherein we'll be giving Tableau takeaway to the one who wins the lucky draw. So I'll be sharing my screen and I will, I'm requesting you all to just let me know if you see the screen. Can you see my screen? Okay. Can you guys scan this code and so that I can, play with the lucky draw and get the winner out?
So fun.
All done? I guess we have 10 participants, so we should have 10 names. So So all done. Can I run the lucky draw now? Okay, meanwhile, anyone have any questions, please feel free to ask to our speakers.
Actually, I have a question for Hailey. So you are recruiting for different industry. I'm wondering, like, which industry do you see has the highest demand for AI talents other than the traditional tech industry? Like maybe some other more traditional industry. Which one do you see has the biggest draw for this kind of talent?
I don't think I have the fullest market data to say that, but in general, I do see a lot from consumer like e-commerce, as well as insurtech, financial services, as well as a medical technology too. Yeah, so those few.
Cool. Thank you. Yeah.
So congratulations, Van V. You are our winner for the lucky draw. And you will be getting a license for 12 months to do all our Tableau e-learnings for free. So congratulations once again, Manvi, and we will be sharing with you the details personally on your email ID. So please share your email ID with me. I'll share across the details to you. Congratulations once again. Yeah,
Congrats.
you. And so congratulations. So thank you so much, Hailey and Hattie, once again. It has been a really inspirational discussion. Really, it was so thoughtful and so insightful. Thank you once again. Thank you, everyone, for joining us. It was a really interesting session. And please keep or share your feedback with us if you need any kind of a session that you want us to do separately. And anything that you would like us to add on, or just to have any events that you want full of fun activities or anything, any suggestions are welcomed. Please do share with us, and thank you once again.
Thank you for organizing.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Have a nice
Good
weekend,
night.
guys. Take care. Bye.
Bye bye.
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 Thank you.